Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on the YouTube account and we're going through a Heroes of Esperia guide. Now overall guys, we've made some pretty solid progression within the Heroes of Esperia. We're at about 8,500 points, which a lot of this have come from actually other players farming this account. Really tough. Now we know this event really has two things, guys. Number one, it is PvP based. It is very dependent on the heroes that you have. Second part, with the Heroes of Esperia specifically, it is very dependent on your levels. Now, when you start getting into the martial ratings, when you start getting into level deficiencies, you can actually win with a far inferior team because of the levels depending on where you are. But I do want to hop over, guys. We want to check out a guide if you're struggling with the Heroes of Esperia. I definitely urge you to go over to Reddit, check out the guide. I will leave a link down below so you can bookmark it and see exactly where we are. So let's go ahead and check out that guide. All right, guys, so here we are with the Heroes of Esperia Volume 2. Now, big shout out to Z Plus and Pogo for putting this together, guys. Agita, the guild that they are in, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into these guides. I dropped out the camera so we can see it in its entirety, and I can kind of run through exactly what we're looking for. Again, for a lot of players that are struggling with the Heroes of Esperia event, this will make a really big difference. Now, the first one we see is the dimensional comp over on the left-hand side. Some of them do run the awakened version of Brutus, but big thing to point out, guys, if you're an earlier player, Ainz still works incredibly well in this event. There are still a lot of team comps that run the Ainz Albedo comp together. We have Mulan in there, we have Arthur in there, we have Ezio in there. There are quite a few variations out of these builds. Now, looking at them, I'm thinking probably from the top down, you can pick which one you're going to be most important. You can also see in the middle, guys, which pet to use. This is very dependent. Like I said earlier with the PvP aspect, it is very dependent on the pets that you have, the pets that you have built for the optimal comps. And again, looking here, we have the Fire Breather, we have Talisman, we have the Seal. Look at the pet that you have that is the strongest within that comp, who you're going to be utilizing. And also remember, with PvP, it is level based. With that martial rating, it is level based, like we said a little bit earlier. So I've been running the Brutus and the Albedo comp. Again, works incredibly well. A lot of free-to-play players. This is actually the comp that I've been running on my free-to-play account, is the bottom run right here with Joan, Arthur, Ainz, Albedo, and Merlin in this combination with the Fire Breather. That is the comp that I have been running. Now, over on the right side, we have the Ulna comps. Now, Ulna Grez used to be the staple when it came to PvP. Super strong formation. But looking in here, we do have the Ulna Grez combination. Ulna Baden essentially replaced that Ulna Grez comp. Ulna Lucretia is also very strong. The reason for this, guys, is when you look at the Ulna comp, a majority of players do have Ulna built, and most of them do have Ulna built up very high, which means she is an impact hero because, again, if you're running an Ulna at a 30960, absolutely, or excuse me, a Lucretia at a 30960, gonna make a real big difference, guys. You can see Z Plus also put in a couple different comps down here. If you don't have Baden, Grez, or Lucretia, if you don't have Pharrell, you can actually pop Yennefer in there, or you can do Oden. A lot of players will run Oden in place of Athalia, again, depending on who you have built. So running the combination of Silas with Pharrell with Oden works again incredibly well, especially if you're going with Baden Ulna or Grez Ulna, because you will get the 5 faction bonus within there. Then of course we have the Owl or the Talisman, two very strong pets in this game mode. Now, looking at the burst comp, this is one that we just started running with the rise of the awakened version of Athalia. The burst comp in here, super strong, guys. We have Zolrath, which is going to delay the battlefield entrance. We have the awe ability of Leica. They're really the two big heroes to build a formation around. Zolrath has to have that 3 of 9 furniture. Leica, you just have to have essentially plus 20 signature item on her, will do incredibly well. But you can see Vathiel is in here. You can also swap out Mishka for that place. You can swap Antandra for that place, or excuse me, Anasta for that place. And looking again, Zafriel, you can do the same. There are a lot of swaps down here, but looking at the damage dealing. So what they're doing in this combination is you're going to have one primary damage dealer, the awakened version of Athalia. We have Thane right here. We also do have Audrey. We have Tamaris. So you are really focusing on bursting down a couple heroes with a very strong hero. Now Vathiel, of course, the Chad is super strong within this comp, guys. which is the reason why they're here. Also have Halos in here, Halos for Zafriel. We have Tamaris for Zafriel. A couple different formations in here to really make this comp beneficial. And again, if you have one solid damage dealer in here, even looking at some of these later comps like this bottom one right here, your primary damage dealer in this case is going to be Vathiel. Vathiel puts out an incredible amount of damage. Tamaris for crowd control for the buffs. You have Zolrath for the buffs. You have Leica for the buffs. You have crowd control with Zap. Works again incredibly well in that PvP aspect, running the Owl down here. Now, the Awakened version of Belinda, this is one of the absolute strongest comps that we've seen. The only one that has really dethroned this Awakened Belinda comp is the Awakened version of Thane, or excuse me, the Awakened version of Athelia has kind of taken the spot within the Treasure Scramble as the top producing team. But this team is super strong, guys. Now, a lot of players are running the Ulna Belinda comp, but running Palmer in here for that damage amplification. I know over on the live stream, we had a big conversation about Palmer and why he is so effective within so many game modes. Guys, he raises the crit damage that a hero can do. Not only the crit damage, but the damage amplification, meaning that they're going to be doing more crits. The crits that they do are going to hit harder, which makes a game-changing difference when it comes to the Awakened version of Belinda. Rowan in here, we have Halos in here, and Rain, of course, for that damage amplification. Rain also gives energy to Belinda. Palmer gives energy to Belinda. Aziz and Rowan give energy to Belinda, making Belinda just a monster when it comes to damage. Now, in here, the Rock Lizard. The Rock Lizard is going to provide the immunity to fatality, also going to provide a lot of shields in there, which makes it an ideal pet within this combination. Now, the cheaper version of this combination, you can actually see right down here, the Psycho comp. So a lot of players do still run Scarlet. And even in this formation up here, if you swapped up that Awakened version of Belinda and dropped Scarlet in the formation, it still does work incredibly well. I know a lot of players that have also had Kayleen built out quite a considerable amount, and have swapped in there. A really strong, solid caster in there will work very, very well with that cycle and that rotation. So the Psycho comp, again, this is focused around, again, the energy aspect of it. If you don't have the Awakened version of Belinda, these are two very solid comps to go in there. I love the Savage Souffle. Big reason is the crowd control aspect. So PvP does run a little bit different. That is the reason why we have twins right here front line. Their utility, their linking ability, a couple different reasons why the twins will do well. And some formations do run the twins right up front, just like you see here. Halos to buff up Lucretia. Even here, Desira for the immunity. A couple swaps you can see within the Psycho comp that do work incredibly well. Now, Matria. Matria is a hero that we have talked about a lot, guys, doing incredibly well in that PvP aspect. Big thing with here, guys, is you have Kanisa and Rook. You do have some damage here with Olgath. If you don't have Olgath, the Awakened version of Aziz will work. Valoris will work. Mortis works in here. Essentially, what you're trying to do with this Matria comp is keep 5 hypo heroes within here. Again, depending on who you have within this formation, you could sub out a couple of these with Valoris. You could look at Zekas if you have them built. It's going to be very, very dependent on the heroes that you have built to really make this Matria comp work. But this is the top one that I actually run. I'm building out Olgath. Honestly, guys, this late in the game, if you're looking to build out Matria, you're going to have some hypos to support her. If you don't, the effectiveness of her in the PvP aspect goes down dramatically. You can still use her in the Nightmare Corridor, Curse Realm, things of that nature, but you want to make sure you have some hypos behind her to really build. And then Savage Souffle, again, that is the crowd control aspect. Looking at the Awakened version of Thane. Now, this is kind of an older combination, which I want to see how we're going to change up this combination. So we have Estrelda for buffs. We have Sonya for the damage mitigation. Halos for the buffs on the Awakened version of Thane. And then we also do have right here Hendrik, which is going to provide, again, damage reduction to that Awakened version of Thane. Now we know today we did get Guineas, which means I would not be shocked at all whatsoever if Guineas takes the spot of either Hendrik or Sonya within this combination, just because of the crowd control, damage mitigation, things of that nature. I believe this comp itself is going to change with the release of our Lightbearer tank. Guineas, very, very cool utility hero. Again, providing a lot of crowd control in there. Here we have Blade Ridge, and we also do have the Winged Lion within this comp. As we continue down here, guys, the Awakened version of Solus. This is a really strong one. Now, of course, Tarnos is in here. A lot of players do not have Tarnos. Orthos is also in here as well, which again, there are a lot of players that do not have Orthos, but this combination works incredibly well because Orthos will ult. The hero with the strongest combat rating or the highest combat rating will continue to move through the ultimate ability that Orthos has. That is the reason why we've seen his utility go up incredibly high. If you're like me, guys, I do not have Tarnos built at all. So looking here, we have Mishka, we have Grez, which can be the substitutes. Even looking here, guys, we have Kanisa and Rook, and we do have Vathiel as the substitutes with the Seal in here. And Peanut for Tarnos does work incredibly well. I have actually used this comp quite a bit with subbing in Peanut or a Star for Tarnos itself. Then, of course, the Rem comp, guys. Now, this is probably one of the highest producing, strongest comps that we have seen to date in AFK Arena is this bottom one right here. Because you have the power of the Awakened version of Athalia, coupled with the absolute insane strength that we're seeing out of Rem. Amelia for the crowd control. Amelia, of course, when she freezes all the enemies as well, is going to provide a big energy buffer to two of these very, very high damage dealing heroes. And also the SP effect that we see on Athalia is going to amplify the damage that Rem is going to put up. Further amplified essentially by Albedo because of the plus 30 signature item that Albedo has, making this a absolutely wicked team. And honestly, right now, it is super difficult to counter this team. A lot of players in the Treasure Scramble PvP are having issues with the counter of this team specifically because it is so strong. Now, if you don't have both of these heroes bought, you can see you can drop out Athalia, you can put Joan in here. Joan is going to take that slot, meaning that the buffs are going to come from Joan for Rem. Now, if you don't, of course, if you're not a light spender or a whale, you're not going to have access to Amelia or Rem as of right now, but you still do have a little more. And I love that Agita, they put in the comps that they've been running. These are some different variation of comps that they've been essentially focused on and building. I love that Z Plus put these in here, guys. It's cool to see how different players are running them. And again, PvP aspect, just like a lot of AFK Arena, guys, it's very important to know the heroes that you have and the heroes that you have built. When we look at free to play, when you look at pay to win, when you look at whales, when you look at dolphins, there are so many variations. We have what, 100 plus heroes within AFK Arena right now. So again, depending on the heroes you have, you can change up a lot of different variations. And they do work incredibly well based on the structure and based on the build of these heroes themselves. All right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Again, I'm going to put a link to this guide down below so you guys can check it out, bookmark it yourself so you have access to it. And not only the heroes of Esperia, guys, a lot of these transition into the Legends Championship Tournament and a couple other PvP aspects because they are the strong teams that we're seeing. So again, that'll do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.